Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, friends, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode here on the Life as Signatures Radio. In the middle of a series, we are talking about apathy. We're talking about the greatest enemy of purpose pursuit after ignorance. Of course, there are quite a number of enemies out there against purpose. There are internal enemies, there are external enemies, and so on. But we're talking about the pursuit itself. In fact, we've grouped purpose into three phases. There's a phase of discovery, there's a phase of ownership, and then there's a phase of deployment. In each of these phases, there's going to be an enemy that cuts across. So there's just going to be an enemy that is unique at a particular phase. And we're looking at apathy in the phase of purpose deployment. Apathy means you've already known what your purpose is, but for one reason or another, you are lazy, you don't have the strength to be able to deploy it. That's what we're going to talk about today, maybe tomorrow and the day after, and we call it a day as far as this series is concerned. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So we've been talking about all these things. We talked about the enemy of culture and status quo. And we also talked about the other enemy yesterday. We talked about ignorance. And the previous day we also talked about ignorance. But apathy is a bit different. Apathy is different from the others that we talked about, because you realize that purpose discovery and purpose pursuit, it's a process. It's not something that it's an event. It's a process. In other words, once you've discovered what your purpose in life is, the idea is that you've just started. You've just begun. You're not at the summit of the mountain. There are very many mountains to climb, but you found your mountain. Now you're at the bottom of the mountain and you're starting to climb. There are very many enemies that you've overcome to be able to find out what mountain it is that you're supposed to climb. Now that you've found it, there is yet another enemy. After conquering the other enemies, you've conquered the enemy of culture, you've conquered the enemy of fear, you've conquered the enemy of status quo, you've conquered the enemy of ignorance. After conquering the enemies of purpose that made you not to discover your mountain, one should not be fooled that the smooth sailing is all along what is left. Purpose has got to be discovered, but it also has got to be worked out. It's got to be deployed. In fact, by the way, did you notice that once you've discovered your purpose, it's like you're a baby who needs to grow. It's basically like once you've changed religions, you become a born-again Christian, you're a baby who needs to grow. The same thing, whatever it is that you change, you transform into another arena. It's like you're starting over. You're starting a new journey, a new dispensation. So this is where the rubber meets the road. At times, those who have discovered their purpose and those who haven't are one and the same thing because of one thing: apathy. In other words, the guy who did not discover his purpose is the same as you who has discovered yours. Why? Because you let apathy stand in the way. Just the discovery, you thought it was good enough. You put placards up and you said, oh, I'm called to do this, I'm called to do that. Don't mess with me, I've discovered who I am, and so on. But you're not doing who you are. You're not doing it. What is making you not to do this? The discovery is not the problem. So there's this silent killer. This is so insidious that it can cause you to hate the very thing that you're passionate about in the first place. Why? Because the inactivity. See, it will be better if you did not know. It will be better if you did not know what your mountain is to climb. But now that you know, the inactivity, the apathy, it becomes accruing and accruing and accruing on you, and you start hating the very thing that you were supposed to do in the first place. That's the anatomy of apathy. It creeps over you over time because of lack of a push, lack of activity, lack of consistency, lack of momentum. You have stayed so long without doing anything to push your purpose forward, and apathy has set in. You started with so much excitement. That's why this guy called Zig Ziglar, he said, many people say that motivation doesn't work. And he said, yeah, so does bathing, and that's why we recommend it daily. See, if you've discovered your purpose, you've got to do some minute things daily to lead towards that particular purpose being deployed. Probably it's growing yourself, or changing your mindset, or equipping yourself one or another, maybe taking a new course or starting a new project. Or there's got to be something you're doing daily in the mental faculty, in the physical faculty, in the emotional faculties. There's got to be something that coalesces into momentum, into consistency of the push of your purpose. If not, guess what happens? Apathy sets in. You've stayed for a very long time without necessarily doing anything about your purpose. This good motivation that comes in, you've discovered, and you are excited, and you are at the mountaintop, you're so inspired. Yeah, guess what? I'm going to write this book, and this book is about A, B, C, and D. And now, the hard work of crafting the structure of the book begins, and you see it's laborious to the mind, it's uncomfortable to you, and so on, and you say, I'm going to do it tomorrow. So the other enemy that works together with apathy is procrastination. Let's just push it tomorrow. Tomorrow the rain will have stopped raining, and then I'll be able to do it. Tomorrow my daughter will have gone out of the house to school, then I'll start doing it. Tomorrow my wife will be back from the seminar, then I'll start doing it. Tomorrow I'll feel a little bit, yesterday I ran so hard and I'm feeling some pain in my joint, and so let me just push it. Tomorrow I'll be a bit more fresh than I am today. Tomorrow maybe the money will have come in, and therefore it will be nice for me to do it at a nice restaurant. Let me just push it tomorrow. I don't have the necessary equipment. When the equipment comes, I will do it. I don't have the necessary funds. When the funds come, I will do it. Apathy sets in with the friend called procrastination, and before you know it, you knew your purpose. You are meant to do your purpose. You're smack in the middle of it. There is no question about what you want to do. You know there is clarity about it. There is direction about it. There is conviction even about it. There is inspiration. There is motivation. But there is no action. Today, then tomorrow. Then day 3, sealed, signed, delivered. Apathy has set in. That's what I normally tell people in their spiritual lives. If you are a spiritual person and you want to remain at a heightened spiritual state, you know what you do? You make sure that every day there is some momentum of spiritual activity that you're doing. If it's meditating, if it's praying, if it's singing, if it's lifting your hands and worshiping, it's got to be daily. The moment you lose one day, and it happens to the best of us, the moment you drop your guard and one day, and sometimes it's not even you dropping your guard, sometimes you fall sick. When you fall sick, you're not able to do your spiritual practices, and therefore what happens? The momentum is broken. It's like a CD. Remember those CD we used to have? It's scratched. When a CD is scratched, it cannot play. It's very frustrating. And then if you let it go the following day and the following day, all of a sudden your spiritual state that was heightened has now dropped. That is the very same thing with your purpose pursuit. It has got to be something that you do every working day. If you don't do it every working day, this silent killer called apathy comes in, slowly slithers in slowly like a serpent, and before you know it, it's coiled itself around you and it's incapacitated you. And you can even become the negative evangelist of the very thing that you're supposed to be doing. You start fighting against it. You see people who are doing probably the same thing or kind of in the same way that you were supposed to do it, and you look at those people and you feel bad about them and you become their enemy because you let apathy set into your life. And therefore apathy becomes one of the biggest silent killers and the biggest impediments and enemies of your purpose deployment. It is a killer, silent killer. The other day we had COVID come in, and in a space of 2 years it had killed 14 million people. Okay, 4 million people, right? But apathy, it kills but leaves people walking around. So you have people as the living dead walking around. They could be somebody. Their possibilities are up there, but those possibilities have been muted, coiled around and suffocated, killed, made dormant, made powerless, made as if they are nothing, dead wood, because of the power of apathy. It operates even in palaces. It operates in state houses and white houses. It operates in the highest and of the mightiest. And it also operates in the lowest and of the low. And it operates big time in the middle. Apathy. We've got to learn to deal with that enemy. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about that. But in the meantime, stay tuned and bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.